What's up, everyone? Yo, this is your boy Terry speaking from the remote location. So if you guys remember, I picked up the 69 LeMans. So the plan is to put an LS in it, which we will, along with a 6-speed transmission, which we will, and pretty much make it look like a GTO, because a LeMans is cool, yes, but a GTO is a lot cooler. In the interior, what we're gonna do is we're pretty much gonna put a 2006 GTO interior in. Not the dashboard, but just the door panels and the seats, make it look like it belongs. So what we're gonna do today is change of plans. Let's have a talk.
And here he is again. Here he is again. That's astonishing. World class.
Now, a lot of people have been asking about the LeMans GTO project, named Judge Coverman. So we're gonna work on the LeMans GTO project today. Now, at first, when I got the car, like I said, the immediate plans was to throw an LS in this thing, along with a 6-speed, make it look like a GTO. But the problem is, I got a lot of projects going on, all right? And I like to jump from one project to another. I don't like to stay too long on one project. Now, some people say that's bad, some people say it's good. It works for me. So I was talking to one of my buddies, Bieri. You might know him. He's the host of Vice Grip Garage. He's that guy.
So Derek, you know about my 69 LeMans, right?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the, like it hasn't ran in about 25 years.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Oh. Just knock the dust off the thing, drive it.
And just drive it.
Yeah.
So you recommend me just knock the dust off and drive that thing? California.
All the way.
You coming?
Sure.
All right, we're going to do that. We could do a ham and Kate.
Yeah.
48 hours.
Listen, the more you plan, the more you try to prepare, the more that's going to go wrong. Just get in, drive it, enjoy it, put avoid highways on the map, and just go. That's it. No plan.
Okay.
You gotta do
I got to do it?
Yep.
It works almost never, but it's fun.
Now, Derek Bieri, he goes all across the country, gets old abandoned cars started, and he drives them home. So, like Derek, what I want to do is I want to try to get this engine running, all right? But unlike Derek, I don't want to drive it across country. I'll drive around town. So, as I was talking to him, he says, why don't you just try to get the engine running? That way, you have a working car, and come time when you swap the engine out, you probably get a couple dollars for that engine. And I was thinking, you know what? That makes sense. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to get this engine running today. Yeah, because the engine's in the car. It just needs to be put back together. So we're gonna do that. 96. This car, last time it was inspected was in 96. And I talked to the guy and he says the last time he drove it was in 98. So that means he did some illegal crap. But we're not gonna talk about that. But so basically this car hasn't ran since for about 2008, 2018, about almost 25 years. Now this car has a 350, a Pontiac 350, and it's a 2-barrel. When I was cleaning the car out, I found the carburetor in the back seat. Now, why do you suppose he put the carburetor in the back seat? Now, earlier this year, I was a little bored and I came out and I was like, you know what, let me see if this car will actually turn over. So the first thing I did was I put a socket on the crank bolt and I was able to get the engine to turn. Then I put a battery in and it cranked over, along with the lights coming on and everything. Windshield wipers even worked. Kind of cool. So here we are today. So we're gonna put that carburetor back on, we're gonna put some fuel to the engine, and I'm gonna see if this thing will turn over. I hope it does. Let's get good. Just plastic. I hope there's nothing down in there. It's kind of clean, so we'll roll with it. Okay. Need to sand this a little smooth. Need to sand some of this rust off. Let's see. This old gasket I could reuse. I'll just throw on a little gasket shellac. sit on there for a second. Now cleaning the car out, here's the 2-barrel carburetor I found, which, like I said, I don't see anything wrong with this. I haven't rebuilt one of these carburetors in I don't know how long. And to be quite honest with you, I haven't touched a carburetor engine since maybe 2000. So this is going to be almost like a learning experience for me. I don't see really anything wrong with this carburetor. I mean, the choke opens. Let's see, the butterfly, the throttle, they move back and forth without any type of binding. So we're just going to put it on there and we're going to run with it and see what happens. So let's install this thing. I'm hooking everything back up. Choke, all the vacuum lines, because they're sitting right there. Brake booster. Hooking everything back up. Everything back up. And that's right, kick down. We really don't need to hook that up right at this point because it looks like, well, might as well. I mean, we're here, right? It goes right there, so. Might need to get a new piece of rubber. What's that? You got it on. All right, looks good. Okay. So basically what I did was went to Advanced Auto and got one of these. You see this? So this is gonna screw into here, and that's gonna be my inlet for my fuel. So it's a little long, which is cool because when it's all said and done, we get this car to run on its own. We're gonna cut it, we're gonna put a filter betwixt it, and we're gonna hook it up to this line right here. So because we see that the fuel is coming in from the tank. So everything is nice and tight. Don't get me wrong, it'd be nice to have an LS in this thing at this point, but right now we're just testing some things out here. All right, got the 5/8. This is bendable, but if it's not, that's cool. Right. First thing I'm going to do before I put gas to this engine, I want to see if this fuel pump is pumping the gas out, because I don't want to have a leak underneath the car somewhere and not know about it. Because even though this gas is 25 years old in this tank, you still want to take precaution. So what I did was I ran a hose from where the hose comes off of the fuel pump on the bottom of the engine that would normally go into the carburetor. So I took it off. I'm not going to put fuel in the carburetor at this point, no. So I took it off and I got it running. My little 5-gallon jug. So I'm going to put the key in. Now we know the car turns over, but we're going to turn it over to see if the fuel is pumping out. And if it is, and there's no leaks underneath the car, we'll hook up a line from some fresh gas, you know, of course put a filter in between, and hook it up to the carburetor, and we'll see if this thing doesn't start. So first thing I gotta do is put a battery in here and take it from there. All right, got the battery hooked up, as you can see. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to turn it over, and I set the jug right here so I'm able to reach in the car and pull this out just to see, just to make sure fuel is going in there. So let's try to turn this thing over. All right, so here's the hose that's hooked up to the fuel pump, or should I say the line that's coming off the fuel pump, and I got the keys. So we're gonna try to turn the engine over, and we're gonna see if fuel comes out of here, and just for a couple of seconds. All right, let's do it. That's a good sign. See that? See that? That's the fuel that's coming out of the tank. All right, now I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna see if I have any leaks anywhere, and if I don't have any leaks, then I'm gonna put fuel to the carburetor and see if we can't start this thing up. Maybe even try to move it back a little and move it forward. Okay, once we put power to the engine and we cranked it over and we saw the fuel, the old fuel out of the tank coming out of the fuel pump into that bucket, I checked around the car to make sure there was no fuel leaks, and there weren't any. So now what I did was I hooked up the fuel line right here to the carburetor, to this hose, to an external pump, low pressure, and I'm gonna hook the other end to a container with fresh fuel, and we're gonna try to kick this thing over and see what we got. Wish me luck, cross your fingers, because this thing hasn't ran in like, what, I guess maybe 24, 25 years. So let's see if we can get it to run, because if we can get it to run and actually move, it's a game changer, because then I'm gonna hit it with some disc brakes, I'm gonna hit it with some coilover shocks, and I'm gonna make it to the point where I can drive this car around looking as, I think it looks beautiful, but most people think it look beat, but I'll drive around, and then it'll be kind of cool to see people's reaction as every time they see it, a little something different is happening to the car. It's looking a lot better, a lot better, a lot better, to the point where it's like, bam, you got a GTO. So it's the last minute check before I kick this thing over. So I want to make sure no fuel lines are in the way. All right, everything's out of the way. Let's try to kick it over. Yeah. That was easy. That's a fuel pump. It vibrated itself off, but it ran. That was easy. Let's start up again. Let's check it first. Our fuel is going into the external. A lot of fuel in the feed. So let's kick it again. 25 years, well, since 98, this engine has not ran, and I hooked it up, got some fuel going in, and the old fuel going out, and it just turned right over. GM. I gotta think about some motor mounts. Look at that engine shape. Well, a couple cool things happen, okay? Well, first off, my fuel gauge doesn't work. Secondly, the fuel pump was pumping the fuel out of the tank and it ran out. So what I'm doing now is I'm cycling it. You see how I'm doing it? You know, hooking it up from the fuel pump. I put fresh gas in and I'm just getting all the dirty gas out. Now, I did that about 4 times already and the fuel is coming out clean. So now I could hook it straight up to the carburetor, but before I do that, I'm going to put like some type of little filter between, so you know it'll clean the fuel before it goes to the carburetor. But I want to cycle it one more time just to make sure. See, this is clean. It doesn't smell like varnish. And what happened was the first couple of bottles, woo, they were milky. It was all kinds of nasty. So it's coming out clean now. So I'm gonna put this back in the tank. I'm gonna split that hose, make like a little makeshift, line where it'll have a filter, and we're gonna try to start it up on its own without having to have to use a hose and a external pump to keep the car running. I'm so excited. Wow. All right, here we go. I got it off its own fuel pump line. We got clean gas coming out through here now, and I got a little plastic filter element sitting right there, and it's going to go straight to the carburetor, so hopefully it'll be running on its own. You see that arrow? See it right there? That tells the direction of the flow. So make sure you have that point in the right direction. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to, turn this car over a little bit, see if gas comes in here, and ultimately start and keep running on its own. All right, let's try to fire it up and see if it'll run on its own. Wow, there you have it. We got the Judge Coverman LeMans / GTO project running, and this is going to take a whole different avenue now because we're going to drive this car around. But as we drive it, we're going to upgrade parts that we will keep on when the LS is installed in this car, like the disc brakes, the coilover. So we're going to fix the car up, but before we get the car painted, that's when we're going to slam an LS in this car with a 6-speed. We're going to do the rear end. So I got to thank my man Derek Bieri from Vice Grip Garage for giving me the inspiration to do this, because like I said, I was yanking the engine out, but what's the point? Leave it in there, drive around, until you're ready for the LS. And you for joining me on this, and we got this engine rolling. So next step is we're going to see if we can put it in drive, put it in reverse, see where we go with that. But we're not going to do that before we put brakes on this. So stay tuned for that video and a whole bunch of other videos coming. So as always, be easy. Yeah, thank you. And I'll catch you guys real soon. Close to 25 years. Later.